To understand what is meant by cognitive load, it is important to first know people are limited in how many things they can hold in their minds at any one time. For example, what if I ask you to remember three words? Dog, cat, monkey. Simple enough, right? You can probably hold on to those three words in your mind without too much trouble. Well, how about I add four more words? Tree, candy, rain, ring. How are you doing now? It gets a little more difficult, right? In a nutshell, cognitive load refers to the load that is held in mind when learning something new. More precisely, it refers to the amount of effort needed to hold information in working memory. And working memory just refers to what we are able to hold in our minds at any one time. Anything we are currently thinking about or paying attention to is being held in working memory. It is different from long term memory, which is basically our brain's storage for what we already know. Working memory is more of a temporary storage place. Working memory is basically the contents of our mind at any given moment. As soon as we stop thinking about something or paying attention to it, it is no longer in working memory. And as I mentioned before, working memory is limited. There's only so much space in working memory, and it can become full easily. So, during the learning process, students need to be able to hold new information in their minds, in their working memory. Further, they are not just holding that new information in their minds, they are working with it. They are comparing it to what they already know. They are relating it to the next thing that they are about to read or hear their instructor explain. They may be holding in their minds two new things they have learned about in order to compare them for similarities or differences. They may need to deconstruct what they are learning or synthesize two or more things together. The thing is, each new task that students do with that information they are learning adds cognitive load. The bigger the cognitive load, the more working memory capacity is used up. And I just want to pause briefly to emphasize this very important point. Working memory has limited capacity. There's only so much students can hold in their minds at any one time. So, the bigger the cognitive load, the more working memory capacity is used up. Let's say I ask you to keep in mind those words that I told you earlier. And I'm guessing you probably forgot most of them, so let's put them back into your working memory. Here they are again: dog, cat, monkey, tree, candy, ring, rain. Okay, now I want you to think about which words are animals. Or how about which words began with an A? This gets a bit more difficult, right? That is because these tasks add cognitive load and therefore start to max out your working memory capacity. The tricky thing for instructors is that what we are trying to teach our students typically doesn't hold a very heavy cognitive load for us since we already know it so well. But this is not the case for our students. What seems like a simple concept or a simple task to us may, in fact, be carrying such a heavy cognitive load for our students that it maxes out our students' working memory capacity. And this point also warrants extra emphasis. What may seem pretty straightforward to us as instructors is going to carry a much heavier cognitive load for our students. And if we throw too much new stuff at students at once, they may become cognitively overloaded and end up missing much of the information. However, as the learning content becomes more familiar to students, they will be able to handle more and be able to do more with what they are learning. Take, for example, this young boy who is learning how to tie his shoes. The task is new to him, so it carries a very heavy cognitive load and is probably maxing out his working memory capacity. Do you think he could carry on a conversation while doing this? Probably not, right? Either he would have to ignore the conversation or give up on the task of tying his shoes. However, with practice, the task of tying his shoes will get easier and easier until it carries a light enough cognitive load that he can both tie his shoes and carry on a conversation at the same time. So, practice can help reduce the cognitive load of learning something new. But practice is just one way that helps to reduce cognitive load. There are many ways to manage cognitive load during learning, and there are a number of things that instructors can do to help manage the cognitive load of what their students are learning.